Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk some Packers. We're going to talk some top 30 visits as the news just broke loose today. Got a ton of topics. Got a lot to get to. Gents, how are we doing? How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Ready to roll, man. Breaking news. We got some visits. We got some Jaire speculation. It's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. We've
got a couple of more. Chat's going and ready right now. I'll tell you what.
Oh, yeah. They're fired up. I'm hoping I can get to a mock draft at the end because we got to redeem ourselves from last night, boys. Let me tell you something. I woke up with a sore ass where people were kicking it all night long in the comments, all right? And it's funny. I said I got nothing to do with this, and they still came down hard on me. So it is what it is. Now, want to add this before we get to the top 30 visits in the Jaire update. Obviously, we added 2 new players to the Spade list, all right, on the draft board. And you guys know the Spade list means Senior Bowl participant, top 30 visit, and they meet the athletic threshold. So we now have 5 players that are kind of primed for the picking for the Packers. And we're going to talk about these players, but those 2 now are obviously Walter Nolen and Jordan Birch have been added to that list along with Trey Amos, TJ Sanders, and Shamar Stewart. So going to be a lot of fun diving into that. Let's hit this Jaire talk real quick as Rob Demovsky tweeted this out earlier, and I thought it was really, really interesting. Listen, Tim said it best. We kind of beat this Jaire story to death, right? Here's the thing. The decision may have been made behind the scenes and we don't know it, right? But we're going to cover every step of the way because I think it's very, very important. Obviously, if Jaire's not on the team, there's some folks that think the cornerback room is going to be fine. I felt like they did pretty good without him last year. Although, you guys know I've been very vocal. I hope he's back as a Packer. But, man, it's seeming like it's probably not going to happen. You guys know when I talk about Tom Silverstein, they call him Spoon, been with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel forever, right? It's common knowledge to me, I've been told, that when Spoon puts a hard stance out there in an opinion, it's most likely coming from Goody within the front office. He's got that tight-knit relationship with the front office. So this is a way, just like agents use Ian Rappaport and people like that to get a message out, with the contract details and this and that. Spoon is the one that I think Goody kind of uses to spread the word on certain topics. Okay, so here's what Rob Demovsky says. You guys may or may not know, he's been raked over the coals for covering this whole Jaire thing, right? Everybody thinks that Rob Demovsky is a Jaire hater. I'm not here to say he is or isn't. That is what it is. You guys draw your own conclusion. But here's what Rob Demovsky tweeted out earlier. To everyone who thinks there's some personal vendetta here against Jaire, Tom Silverstein also reporting the same thing, that one way or another Green Bay is planning to move on. If you don't believe my reporting, maybe you'll believe Spoon's. All right, so here's the key points from an article that Spoon wrote. The Green Bay Packers are still looking to trade or release Jaire Alexander despite deciding months ago to move on. All right. The second point, while there has been trade interest, Alexander's salary and potential unwillingness to adjust his contract have hindered a deal. So it seems like Jaire saying, nope, not reworking the deal is what's kind of holding up a deal. Now, why would Jaire do that if indeed he is? It's so he can have control over where he goes, right? If he makes this, and I'm not saying he's doing this in a derogatory way, like, hey, he's trying to be anti-Packers. But if he wants to have his pick of the litter on what team to go to, then you make it as difficult as possible to trade him, and then you just have to cut him out right now. He can decide wherever he wants to go, right? Can't fault him for doing that if that is the case. Again, I'm not saying it is. Tea leaves kind of look like it's leaning in that direction. The other point, the Packers may be more likely to find a trade partner after the draft if teams are unable to address their cornerback needs. We've talked about that on this show forever. If the team comes out of the draft and go, damn it, the board didn't fall the way we wanted to. I'll tell you somebody that happens to all the time. It's us doing mock drafts, right? So I guarantee you it's a common occurrence for the other 31 teams across the league, or however many, handful there are looking for a cornerback. So wait till after the draft, and then team goes, okay, we didn't get what we wanted at corner. Let's go get Jaire Alexander. So want to get your all's thoughts here. You may have thoughts, you may not. It's totally cool either way. What do y'all think about those 3 points? And the fact that Spoon is reporting is what's really interesting to me.
Tim?
Oh, I was going to let you go first.
Nope. This year.
I think there's, truth to both sides of the story right here. But like you said, Clay, like it's not just, Rob Domofsky, everybody's favorite beat writer, but Tom Silverstein is reporting this as well. So, where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't think it's a big secret that, here we pretty much look at this as the relationship may or may not have soured between Ja and the team. But however, I'll believe it when I see it. I'm still standing on that. I'm still 50-50. I still believe there's a chance they could just say, hey, play out your contract, and he could stay a Packer. I do think that a trade on draft day or after the draft is more likely than a post-June 1 cut, I think, personally. In this scenario. So just my opinion on the matter. I'm good either way. I feel really good about our cornerback room. You guys know I'm a huge Jaire fan, but setting that aside, with or without Jaire, I feel pretty good about our CB room going into this year and going into this draft, quite frankly. We could add another rookie talent at the cornerback position in the draft, possibly. So I think Goody did his due diligence by bringing in Nate Hobbs and making sure that if we do move on from Ja, that it's kind of a seamless transition. You've got guys you can rotate in there. We have Carrington Valentine coming off his best season of football last year, a guy who certainly has earned more reps. So I feel good about the CB room either way.
Yeah. Deadfish says, so you're saying to draft all the cornerbacks in the draft to create a need for Ja. I like his chest right there. Go ahead. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I've been back and forth. Like Tim said, he's at 50-50 right now. I'm probably back to 80-20 that Ja doesn't play, but there is the situation of, there's not a negotiation. You have a contract, play the contract out, and then we'll go from there kind of thing. And I do think there is a lot more credence that it's coming from Silverstein, not to throw so much shade at Rob Domofsky, but like you highlighted, when it comes out of Tom Silverstein's mouth, it's generally the truth coming from an actual source with actual people putting their name behind it. So it is a little bit, it stinks to have a rough ending to any kind of relationship, especially with one that we were so high on at one point, which I was as big as a Jaire supporter as you can get. And unfortunately kind of ended a little rocky. And if this is the absolute end, I think Tim's right. It's probably going to happen more likely after the draft, or during.
Yep. Eldergrim says, am I the only one who isn't a fan of corners available outside of the top 40? If we don't take one in the first, I'm not bothered to take one at all, to be honest. That's what we've ran into, Eldergrim, if I'm reading your comment correctly here. It's like once you get past the second round, boy, there ain't a whole lot going on there, in my opinion, according to our board anyway. And again, Trey Amos is the one that jumps off the page for the Packers. Threshold, team captain. Packers have met with him multiple times, and also a top 30 visit. And he was a Senior Bowl participant. He's the one that played a multitude of styles of defense, both zone and man, in that Ole Miss defense down there. So after him, again, we met with Savone Rebel as well. You guys know I like Savone Rebel. I think the injury concerns are a little bit overblown. Personally, we've talked about that in the detailed scouting report. But he's more of a press man than a zone heavy. You can look at that one of two ways. It's easier to teach somebody how to play zone than it is man. It just seems like those guys are kind of born with the ability to play man. You can adjust the technique and this and that, but you got to be able to mirror and match. So I'm with you, Eldergrim. That's the part that's rough. Now, to go back to what Tim said, I agree with you, Tim. It's not like this was a bad pass defense. This was not a bad pass defense. It wasn't. And that was without Ja the majority of the season. They would be better with Jaire, a healthy Jaire, but I'm not freaking out either. And again, if you hadn't went and gotten Nate Hobbs, I'd be going, oh, crap. But the fact that you go get Nate Hobbs, and again, opening up the checkbook a bit, says everything you need to know about how much Brian Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur, Jeff Hafley, and probably Rich Bisaccia feel about Nate Hobbs, that they could maybe rekindle that rookie fire that he had, where he just absolutely balled out with the Raiders. SDM40 says Goot found Valentine in the 7th, while us amateurs barely skim the surface. Yep. Yeah, the Valentine pick, you got to keep in mind too, SDM40, wasn't like Valentine popped the first year, bro. He sucked the first year. Now it really clicked in the second. So if we're talking about, hey, we need someone to contribute right now, and I think that's what people are freaking out about with Jaire, if they are freaking out, is like, hey, how are we going to replace this guy this year? But the article goes on to say it's been nearly 3 months since the Green Bay Packers decided they would go into the 2025 season without Jaire Alexander, yet here they are, with the April 24th through 26th NFL draft staring them in the face, no closer to trading or releasing him than they were in early February. Obviously, they were receiving interest. Tom Silverstein had tweeted this out earlier today. Green Bay Packers are receiving interest in Jaire Alexander, but a trade is not imminent. So you guys go check out that article that Spoon put out. And again, Rob Domofsky obviously put that tweet out. Make sure you give it a like, retweet it, what have you. So, and again, I'll say this about Rob Domofsky. He's had sources on both sides, both in Jaire's camp and the Packers camp. So he's been all over this thing way more than Spoon has. But it kind of feels like Spoon came in like the big brother and was like, hey, boys, y'all stop roasting Rob, because this is a real thing, So There you go, little Jaire update. We'll see what happens. I don't know what to think. I'm tired of putting percentage on it. 1 second we're like, hey, he's working out with the boys, he'll be back. The next second it's you get this from Spoon, which makes me think it probably trickled down from the front office. So just something to kind of keep an eye on for sure.
Things could be a lot worse. I could be a Bears fan.
Let's now get into some top 30 visits. That sound good, boys?
Yeesh.
I'll tell you, man, this was an exciting day. All day long, I was out there on the grind, and I know, Jacob, you were at the office, and Tim was doing way more important things. And boy, oh boy, they just came. It was like the floodgates opened earlier today as Easton Butler was tweeting these out. They came from Tom Silverstein, I believe, had 1 or 2 of these as well. But Packers reportedly schedule a top 30 visit with Arizona wide receiver Tetaroa, however you want to say his name. I think it's Tetaroa McMillan.
Here's a guy.
So, guys, no secret, this is the top receiver on our board. He's actually the number 5 prospect. Before we dive into the PFF grades and everything else, what's your all's initial thoughts on Tet McMillan? Is it something that if he falls to 23, great, but if you could trade up and get him, would you be willing to trade up and get him? How do you guys feel about this? I'll start with you this time, Jake.
Man, I believe at this point that if Tet falls at 23, I would be totally fine with us taking the pick. In a weird way, I almost would feel better if we just didn't have to deal with that situation, and we maybe focused on a D lineman or an edge or something, a cornerback that was more of a striking, glaring need, in my opinion. McMillan is definitely a freak of nature in certain aspects, but in others, he's a little bit lacking. I mean, the guy probably runs an actual 4.6 40. You know what I mean? Is he the actual type of X receiver that's going to dictate that people change coverages for him? I don't honestly think that anymore. Whereas I did think he was a bigger difference maker when I just kind of saw a lot of the stats and a lot of the highlights and that kind of stuff. I'm at the point now where I don't think that he's the type of player that's going to be an immediate gem in the wide receiver room. I would much rather have Jaden Higgins. I would much rather have, I think, even Trey Harris for the value. And I'd much rather have Torrey Horton in like the 3rd or 4th if we could snag him. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'd still, if he's there at 23, that'd be a really interesting choice to have, and I'd be totally fine with it. It's just, that's how I feel.
Got it. What about you, Tim?
I'll probably back you up on that one, Jacob. I agree. I think trading up to get him is a bit of a reach. I do think, though, at 23, and we want a receiver, if we break the mold and take a first-round pick wide receiver, T-Mac's one of those names that's you got to think of. There's that handful of names that you might use a first-round pick on at wide receiver, and I certainly think he's one of them. That being said, I don't see them aggressively pursuing him and giving up draft capital to go up and get him. So I'm with you. I like Jaden Higgins. There's been no secret about that. And I do think that there is some, early to mid round receiver value, second, third round. But then, we talked about corner being kind of thin after, those top 40 guys. It's receivers very close to that as well. But there is some talent in this draft. So, I'm not super high on T-Mac. I know a lot of people are, but I'm not low on him either. So I think if they want to pull the trigger on a wideout at 23 and he's on the board, we should not be surprised at all if they do in fact draft him.
And keep in mind, Brian Gutekunst was the only general manager at his pro day, and they have him in for a top 30 visit. So really, really interesting. Coach Lynn says, would love McMillan in the first. Ball skills are crazy good. The other thing about McMillan that stood out to me, and we're going to get into the full scouting report now, his fluidity in and out of the breaks. Like he does not move like he's 6'4". Like this dude is just so smooth in transitioning. He's a volleyball player as well. He's got extreme body control. The production was just crazy off the charts from the time he stepped in as a freshman in college as well. So let's get into it. The Green Bay Packers have reportedly scheduled a top 30 visit with Arizona wide receiver Ted McMillan. Per team sources, eyeing him as a potential number 1 receiver in the 2025 NFL Draft. Ranked number 5 on our PTA big board, McMillan brings a towering 6'4", 219-pound frame with elite ball skills and versatility, offering Green Bay a matchup nightmare capable of dominating as an X or Z receiver to elevate their passing attack.
Look at that photo right there too in the Patreon, man. Nothing like a stiff arm while getting face masked. Yeah. At least we know T-Mac is not afraid of confrontation out there at all.
And here's what we got in high school. Scouting report coming out of high school was a 5-star recruit from Servite High School in Anaheim, California in the 2022 class. Ted McMillan earned a 96.45 grade from On3. That's out of 100, by the way. Ranking as the number 37 overall prospect and number 4 wide receiver nationally at 6'5", 190. Obviously, you notice how every one of these reports, they're an inch taller than they actually are. It's funny how they all do that. He showcased exceptional size, hands, and body control, recording 88 receptions for 1,302 yards and 18 touchdowns as a senior, earning California's State Player of the Year honors. A 3-sport athlete, football, basketball, volleyball. His basketball background highlighted his leaping ability and coordination. McMillan committed to Arizona over offers from Oregon, USC, LSU, Miami, Notre Dame, Texas, and Penn State. Seen as a rare talent and immediate college impact potential. So there's what he does good, obviously, man. High point in the ball. This dude is a possession receiver for sure. College statistics. McMillan's 3-year career at Arizona from 22 to 24 showcased consistent dominance with 0 fumbles across his tenure. In 2022, he played 12 games, recording 39 catches for 702 yards and 8 touchdowns, leading all true freshmen nationally in receiving yards. In 2023, he played 13 games, recording 90 catches for 1,402 yards and 10 touchdowns, earning second-team All-Pac-12 and third-team All-American honors. In 2024, he played 12 games, recording 84 catches, 1,319 yards, and 8 touchdowns, including a program record 304 yards against New Mexico, earning first-team All-Big 12 and first-team All-American honors. His career totals were 37 games, 213 receptions, 3,423 yards. That's a school record, and 26 touchdowns. When you look at the PFF grades, 2022 as a true freshman, 66.5. In 2023, jumped all the way to an 87.4. 2024, he drops back to an 84.8. So his sophomore year in college, he was the highest graded receiver. Now you got the production, you've got the PFF grades, you've got the scouting report from high school, like everything. There was not one point throughout his career so far where he dipped. Like, he took a step back. Injuries as well. I think he had like a preseason injury that they set him out for camp, and then he was ready to go and didn't miss very minimal time if he did it all. The other thing I want to point out, look at the slot snaps at 117. So he can kick inside of the slot as well. You got 588 out wide, 117 in the slot, so you got some versatility there. Here's the detailed scouting report entering the draft. This is from Dane Brugler, okay? A 3-year starter at Arizona, McMillan flexed across the formation, 78.1% of his snaps wide, 21.6% in the slot. In the Wildcats spread scheme, Dino Babers and Matt Atkins share play calling duties in 2024, while catching passes from his longtime best friend Noah Fafita, the Hawaiian native, was one of the most productive players in college football over the past 2 seasons. He led the FBS in combined receiving yards at 27-21, first downs at 112, and catches of 20 yards or more with 42. Showing off his volleyball and basketball background, McMillan shines at the catch point and uses his Gumby-like body adjustment skills to frame the football with his hands regardless of the placement or action required. With heavy helpings of slants, hitches, and go routes on tape, he is at his best when he can stretch out his stride. He has the feet of a smaller athlete, but will need time to expand his route tree and pacing to avoid giving away subtle hints that savvy NFL corners will notice. Overall, McMillan is only average in the speed and separation categories, but he is long and limber athlete with exceptional tracking and ball-winning instincts. He fits the T. Higgins mold as a unique playmaker because of his size and catch point skills. Here are his strengths. Tall, long, and limber athlete with volleyball background, exceptional ball skills, and consistently stabs away from body with large hands, massive catch radius with length and body control to contort frame to off-target throws. Catch point focus looks the same whether wide open or in a crowd, so he doesn't get kind of hindered by there being bodies around him, right? Consistently works back to the pass instead of waiting for it, like that. Finishes the catch strong to the ground. Galloping route strides help him reach top speed quickly. That's that stride length that Greg Cosell talks about all the time. Light feet to cleanly sink and pivot at the top of routes. Heightened awareness along sideline to get feet down inbounds. Slippery after the catch, a knack for hitting the brakes post-catch and smoothly redirecting away from pursuit. Terrific run balance as a ball carrier, number 3 among FBS receivers with 28 forced missed tackles in 2024. So he's not just a jump ball guy. He's making guys miss with yak. Average sustained strength, but uses body well to shield as a blocker. Sells Nalo apparel, which refers both to his hometown – I'm not going to try to say that. And personal motto, negative attitudes lose opportunities. I like that. So positive dude. Durable, didn't miss a game in 3 seasons at Arizona, all 37 games he played. That's pretty impressive. Ranked number 1 all-time at Arizona in receiving yards with 3,423. Number 3 in touchdown grabs with 26. And number 4 in catches with 213. Before we get into the injury and character concerns, what's your all's thoughts so far? Anything change? How are we feeling about it?
I think one of the things with T-Mac that doesn't get talked about enough is the FBI and the football IQ that he has. We talk about the physical attributes and, the catch point and the route tree and all these things, but he's a smart player for a young player and a guy that I think would catch on pretty quick in the NFL. The thing I'm struggling with him is I see him going, relatively early in the first round. I could also see him slipping to the bottom of the first round, maybe even out of it, depending on how the board shakes up. So it's kind of where I'm at on him, but definitely he's, I feel like the mental aspect of his game doesn't get as much attention as the physical. He's a smart player.
Yeah, I agree with that, Tim. And I think maybe I should clarify my statements before. It's not that at 23 I wouldn't be super pumped. I think more what you said, Tim. I wouldn't feel comfortable giving up more draft capital to move up to chase a guy like Tet. But, I mean, there's no denying what this guy brings to the field. He's about as consistent. You know what you're going to get from him. If you give him opportunities, he's going to give you production. And I think a good point is that what Coach Lynn highlighted here, he goes, I think McMillan was bored in college. That may be why he looked disinterested at times. It sounds like maybe a drastic statement, but it's not. It's literally, it's like when Emilio's playing Madden and he's playing on, rookie, and he's running up scores 120 to nothing because he's got no real skills. That's what he gets bored.
I can see Emilio running to his computer right now.
I know. I hope he is. Yeah. But it's the more you read about him, I mean, the durability. Look at freaking Emilio. Where is he?
I love it.
Always rookie and always self-adjust the sliders all the way to the right for himself. Right.
Always. All right, injury and character concerns. McMillan has been mostly durable, playing 37 games over 3 seasons. Through a lower leg injury in spring of 2024, sidelined him for part of fall camp. yet he missed no games. He played through minor ankle tweaks in 2023 and 2024, showing toughness. Off the field, McMillan is a high-character leader, praised for his work ethic and team-first mentality. Coaches vouch for his maturity and preparation, despite anonymous scouts claiming he doesn't love the game, stemming from a secretly filmed comment where he said he doesn't like watching film outside the facility, falsely reported as, quote, refuses to watch film.
Yep.
No off-field issues have been reported. His Polynesian College Football Player of the Year award in 2024 reflects his cultural leadership as well. So
let's go.
Again, they said
have you guys
he
known any Polynesian prospects that turned out not to be good football players? Like it's just the streak is
They're
just
all good.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. Coach Lynn said he said about the film 2 years ago coming from Hawaii. I wouldn't like watching film either in college. Got that right. So again, it got reported as he refuses to watch film. He thinks he's too good to watch film. And on that video, he just said, yeah, I mean, I really don't like watching film outside of the facility. Like,
yep.
That's basically you're saying and he was a freshman in college when he said that, by the way. And that got reported, as you guys remember. And I want to give a shout out to Warren Sharp, not that he knows who the hell I am, but he got very vocal on this. Like, it's ridiculous that it took 24 hours to us to figure out this video was from his freshman year. The people who posted that video, the people that reported on that video, conveniently left that part out as if it happened this year. So
yep.
I think this is just like the James Pierce Jr. stuff, man. It's just like you can tell people are putting as much stuff out as possible to get these top-ranked prospects to drop as quickly as they can. RAS obviously incomplete. There's no reason to test to the max, in my opinion. Composite size grade was elite, though, 6'4", 219. 40-yard dash was a 4.53. There were some reports that it was sub 4.5 40. The official on the card is a 4.53. Arm length, 31.5 inches. He's got 10-inch hands as well, so the catch radius, big hands, absolutely huge. Here's his draft projection. Ted McMillan projects as a top 10 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, aligning him with his number 5 ranking on the PTA Big Board. His combine measurables, we just talked about, we're not going to repeat them, and on-field production make him a scheme-versatile fit for Green Bay's need for a dominant outside receiver to complement Jordan Love's play style. His ceiling is a perennial Pro Bowl wide receiver 1, akin to Mike Evans or Drake London. By the way, people were comparing him to those two players, and Greg Cosell said he's a better version of Drake London, is what he said. That's how he felt. Okay. While his floor is a reliable number 2 receiver, the Packers' visit paired with his Big 12 Pro Day performance and meetings with teams like the Jets and Patriots signals a strong top 10 buzz, and his record-breaking Arizona tenure could push him into the top 5. He's the number 1 receiver on the PTA Big Board. And if you look where he's been mocked here lately, April 15th, not to the Saints. April 15th, 12th to the Cowboys. April 14th, 5th to the Jaguars. April 14th, 8th to the Panthers. April 14th, 12th to the Cowboys. On April 14th, CBS and Michael Rainer, or Rainier, however you say the name, had him going 23 to the Packers. I think if he lasts to 23, there's no way Goody can pass up on Ted McMillan at 23. No. I just don't think he's going to be there. I really don't.
Yeah.
So, any other thoughts on Ted McMillan, gents?
Yeah, I got a question. Well, first of all, I don't think he's gone past Dallas at 12 because I think either Dallas, if they're going to do something with Genty or something, they have to make a splash play. Like Jerry Jones is just on his last limb, and I feel like it just seems like such a good spot. Not what I'd want him to go, but it just seems like that the Cowboys, Tet, it just seems like a match made in heaven. That's my opinion. Now, Tim.
Cool. Jaden Higgins at 23. Let's go.
All right. I was just going to say, what situation would you feel more comfortable with? And I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but would it be trading up anywhere in the first to get a Tet or trading up in the second to get yourself a Jaden, Mr. Higgins?
Well, I don't like the idea of trading up for either, to be honest with you.
Exactly. But
I'm looking to trade back. If Ted's there at 23, run the damn card. But if the value is just too good, you're talking about a top 5 prospect. If our board, let's just pretend, and I know it doesn't, let's pretend for a second, our PTA Big Board looks just like Brian Gutekunst's. If he's there at 23 he's going to be the highest graded prospect on the board, hands down. The rest of those guys are going to be gone, no doubt about it. And again, you get him in for a top 30 visit. Jacob, you were kind of a little worried about the speed, right? Like it might not be as good as people are reporting. They're going to get a look at that. Jaden Reed, right, if you'll remember, he ran a 4.540 as well. And then later, Goody and them had him in for a top 30 visit. And after they drafted him, they said, yeah, we had a 4.4 speed on him in-house. So that could happen as well, right? And that's where we're obviously not behind the scenes. But they'll also get a good feel for, all right, is this dude all about football? And that seems to be one of the concerns because of the anonymous reports, you know. So
what do you think about this? So obviously H.G. Soder says if you want Higgins, you got to get up to 23, assuming he's there. Eldegrim, who, by the way, welcome back, haven't seen you in a minute. I like this. He says trade back in the first, get Amos, use that draft capital to trade up and grab Higgins in the second. Oh, that'd be so amazing.
Trade back in the first, get Amos, then use that draft capital to trade back up and get Higgins. That makes a lot of sense.
It really does, doesn't it?
Amos in the first, if you trade back and get a little closer to that 32nd pick, that makes the Amos pick seem a lot more legit to me. Although if they take him at 23, then that means he wowed them with the visit, right? Trey Amos being he, obviously. So what do you think about that scenario, Tim? Would you be okay with that?
I would, in a perfect world, right? We get this extremely talented corner and we end up with an extremely talented receiver with the first two picks in the draft. I mean, kick your feet up and relax the rest of the draft. At that point, I'm sure we would take care of our D-line needs and some of the other areas we talked about. So I'm not totally against it. I'm just I'm wondering what the likelihood is that we go corner and or wide receiver in the first or second round in this draft. I think there's as strong a case or as strong a chance as there's ever been this year. But that being said, like you always talk about precedence, Clayton, I just it's been a long time since we took a flyer in the first round on a receiver.
Fred McFarley says top 30 visits aren't workouts. That's not true, sir. They can agree to workouts in-house. We just don't hear about them. We heard about the Jaden Reed one afterwards. So just keep that in mind. They may not have to work out, but you bring somebody in for a top 30 visit and they go, I ain't working out for you. Probably not going to go good on draft night. So, yeah. And again, we don't know what all goes on behind the scenes at the top 30 visits. So, again, the Jaden Reed one's the one that sticks out to me when they said, yeah, when we had him in-house, he ran a 4.440. So, that's what we had on the clock for him. But all right, moving on to the next one. Anything else on Ted McMillan, gents, before we jump into the next one here? And you guys know I'm excited about this next one.
No, we can keep it rolling. Are we going to talk about Walter Nolen now?
Yes, sir, we are. Fred McFarley says agree to disagree. If you want to disagree with Goody, man, we can agree to do that, bro. That's cool. Totally cool. All right, Walter Nolen. Packers reportedly scheduled a top 30 visit with Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Nolen. The Green Bay Packers have reportedly scheduled a top 30 visit with Ole Miss Optimus Prime. Is that what they called him? Ole Miss Optimus Prime, Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Nolen, per team sources, targeting him as a disruptive force in the 2025 NFL Draft. Ranked number 19 on our PTA big board, Nolen brings a chiseled 6'3", 296-pound frame with a rare agility and power, offering Green Bay a versatile lineman capable of playing multiple gaps to bolster their defensive front. I want to get your all's initial thoughts before we dive into the scouting report. We'll start with you this time, Tim. On the surface, based off what you got right now, before we get into all the details, would you be okay with Walter Nolen at 23?
Absolutely. I mean, I'd be good with a handful of defensive tackles at 23, but Walter Nolen is high up on that list for me. I like Tyleik Williams as well. Kenneth Grant, there's, Derek Harmon, there's a lot of names out there, but Walter Nolen just looks like an absolute dog. And I would have zero problem with him being the 23rd pick in the draft.
Yeah, I feel like PFF has maybe shuffled around a little bit because as of right now, it's Mason Graham as the first ranked interior defender. Number 2 is Walter Nolen. And I know for a while there was much different. And it looks like our guy Harmon and Alexander, they're starting to fall a little bit. It's very intriguing. I think was it you, Clayton, that sent a message today? I read that he went to school, high school in Tennessee, somewhere around y'all. And then I forgot that he was like the highest ranked. If I remember correctly, I was listening to a podcast. They said that he was the highest ranked high school prospect the year he came out. Number 2 was Travis Hunter. Yeah. So it's like, dude, I mean,
He played for Powell High School. We'll talk about it here in a second. That's my old stomping grounds down there just north of Knoxville. And, I didn't realize this because I kind of got unplugged from college football for a little bit, high school recruiting. But he was the number one prospect in the entire country, and he led them to a state championship. And I'm telling you, when I lived in Knoxville, Powell was not competing for state or for national champions. Sorry about that. They were not competing for championships, man. What wasn't going to happen? I'm just telling you right now. No, it's state. I'm sorry, state championship. So it's obvious that he revolutionized that high school, and he still stays plugged in there, it sounds like. So let's get into it, boys. Look at this guy right here out of high school. How'd you like to line up across from him at about 160 pounds? You know what I'm saying? Scouting report coming out of high school, a 5-star recruit from Powell High School in Powell, Tennessee in the 2022 class. Walter Nolen earned a 99.59 grade from
Good Lord.
ranking him as a number one prospect in the country. At 6'4", 325 pounds, there's that extra inch. He dominated with explosive first step quickness and strength, recording 93 tackles, 33 tackles for loss, 27 quarterback hurries, and 17 sacks as a senior, leading Powell to a 13-2 record in a Class 5A state championship. A 2-sport star, football and track, he won a state shot put title, showcasing his athleticism. Nolen committed to Texas A&M over offers from, listen to this list, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. He could have stayed right there. I mean, UT is maybe 18 minutes south of where he went to high school, and he ended up going to Texas A&M. Says viewed as a generational talent with all-American potential. College statistics. Nolen's 3-year college career from 22 through 24 across Texas A&M and Ole Miss reflects consistent growth, culminating in a breakout 2024. In 2022 at Texas A&M, he played 10 games, recording 29 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. In 23, he played 12 games, posting 37 tackles, 4 sacks, and 1 pass breakup, earning second-team All-SEC honors. Transferring to Ole Miss in 24, he played 13 games, exploding for 48 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, and 2 pass breakups, earning first-team All-SEC and first-team All-American honors with an elite PFF grade of 88.9. So his career totals in college, 35 games, 114 tackles, 11.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 3 fumble recoveries, and 3 pass breakups. When you look at the PFF grades, 68.1, 72.5, and then boom, 88.9 elite grade. Last year's run defense grade, 91.6. Pass rush grade is 75.0. Detailed scouting report. A 1-year starter at Ole Miss. Nolen played 3 technique tackle. What are we always talking? He's the – Greg Cosell said this is the only true power 3 technique defensive tackle in this draft, okay? And what we mean by power is – isn't it funny how people say, well, when you get to the league, you got to have pass rush moves because you can't just win with power in the league. That's true. But I'll tell you what else, when we like these finesse pass rushers and this and that, you can't give a player power. You can't. You've either got it or you don't. Like, you've got to work your ass off to develop a true power move if you don't already have one in the arsenal. And that's what Greg Cosell harped on with him. He said, when I turn on the tape, I see Jalen Carter. That's what he said. And I didn't just see it this year. I seen it last year. Chris Ann just said it, Jalen Carter Jr. That's Greg Cosell talking, not me. So 3 technique defensive coordinators, Pete Golding's 4-2-5 base scheme. We run the majority of our scheme is a 4-2-5 defense. So he would be a 3-tech and a 4-2-5. Perfect fit. Occasionally lining up over or outside the tackle, a consensus top 5 recruit out of high school. He played 2 mediocre seasons at Texas A&M before transferring to Oxford, where he had his best season in 24, joining Patrick Willis as the only consensus All-Americans from the front 7 in school history. So him and Patrick Willis are the only 2 players at Ole Miss to accomplish that. His length and surge off the ball, Nolen creates immediate force and can be a play wrecker with how quickly he penetrates gaps. The type of leverage that creates holding calls. He doesn't rely on just quickness to win, but there are inefficiencies in his attack, especially when he is late to read the play. Overall, Nolen has areas of his game that require maturing, but he flashes big-time disruption in his initial burst and fast physical hands to regularly affect the backfield action. He will be attractive for NFL teams looking for an active gap shooter and high-end upside. That's Dane Brugler saying that, not us, okay? Strengths: explosive first step with equally explosive hands. Has initial movements to cross face, shoots gaps, and live in gaps. Weaponizes length to stab and flashes a twitchy slap arm over move. That's that swat and swim, right, that we always talk about. Relies on get-off quickness as his source of power to create push at contact. Rangy athlete for his size with the secondary quickness to finish behind the line of scrimmage. Quick to find his balance to react to the ball carrier and get him on the ground. Strong tackler in close quarters, rarely miss tackles. Give me some of that. I mean, my goodness, right? That's the only thing Devontae Wyatt's game kind of struggled with at this point. So you couple those two together, that could be a strong future moving forward. Able to plant his post leg and hold his own against doubles. Plays hard and his effort doesn't see major dips snap to snap. Production improved each season. Finished top 3 among FBS interior defensive linemen in tackles for loss in 2024. Injury and character concerns we're going to get to here in just a second. I want to get your all's thoughts up to this point. Just a quick minute or two from each of you. We'll wrap this hour up and continue Walter Nolen on the second hour.
Freaking monster. You are not double teaming Walter Nolen. I don't care who you think you are. It's not going to happen. It's one of the things I like the most about his tape is his ability to get off the block. He's just a beast in the trenches. And I think with the departure of TJ Slayton, this is a good step in the right direction if you're trying to fill that void on the D line.
Yeah, Tim kind of stole my thunder because I was going to talk that when they highlight the fact that he's able to plant his post leg and hold his own against doubles, that to me screams, okay, we got to find somebody that can help out with what Slayton used to do. And although, Slayton used to get a lot of flack for not being the best, either a 1 tech or a 3 tech, whatever he did, he still has a job that he was somewhat doing. He's got a job that we got to fill now. And I love the fact that it sounds like he's got a motor on this guy and he plays aggressive. And I like, what did they say? Something about how his effort doesn't see major dips snap to snap. That to me is what I want. I want a guy with a relentless motor, especially because if he is part of this, we talk about the rotation at edge, about how it's a hockey rotation. There is a mini version of that on the D line as well. Not maybe as pronounced, but definitely when you got a guy like him and Wyatt, which could be, I don't want to say that they'd both be, I think Wyatt is more of a pass rush specialist type guy. And you could see Nolen as maybe a more all 3 downs type player where he could be more of a steady Eddie and really be that there for our base. And it'd be cool. He's starting to grow on me quite a bit.
Yeah. H.E. Solder says, are Wyatt and Nolen different enough to coexist? I believe so. Yeah. Because again, Walter Nolen is really, really good against the run. Devontae Wyatt is really, really good against the pass. Right. So to me, it's peanut butter and jelly right there. You know what I mean? Like They will complement each other, in my opinion. And again, when they go to double team Nolen, if he's not playing, if it's not called to play a touch spy, that dude, he can hold his own against double teams, no doubt. So that's why it's so important to play with power. But that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we're going to continue this Walter Nolen breakdown, and then we're going to jump into Jordan Birch's prospect profile as well in hour 2. We appreciate y'all.